Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome back to this godforsaken Sisyphusian thing that we are putting on. So
I missed you.
I missed you too. I'm Wesley, also Commander Jodo. As you all
I am.
fucking know. Demonetization. And this is Aaron or Rage Cuppy.
You actually just reminded me why I said use of first names in my notes for what I wanted to talk about.
Oh God. All right.
I wanted to talk about
Slap me in the penis.
Your first name's awful and I hate it. No,
It is.
It was it's named after a movie, dummy. It was if we wanted to drop the Rage Cuppy and Commander Jodo monikers.
Please.
Because what?
Please. Really? Yes.
Sure.
Oh,
Sure.
And you're still R dot.
Oh, I know how to change that, by the way.
How do we?
That's a okay. Welcome to Live Help Podcast. First
do I
thing
have to nickname you?
No, you don't have to. You just have to. You can actually. It's a setting in streamer mode.
Oh. Because mine's available.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Here. How about watch this?
Watch this. Watch this.
What I'm gonna do right now.
Sit down, shut up, and watch the hell what's going on. Hey, look at that. Hey, Ron. I can't.
Do you want me to change your nickname?
Hey, I'm in stream. Just disable streamer mode. I don't care. You give me all the things. Yeah, go ahead. Change my nickname, please. I should probably
know.
WES.
Let me know how badly I spell your nickname, your name.
Yeah, all right, do it.
Is it? Oh, this doesn't look right. Is WESELY? It's just LY, isn't it? No, I don't know how to spell your name. You've always just been West to me. LE. Dyslexia.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing because it's not a common name. It really isn't a common name, so it's not a you problem. It's just
and I think for the majority of your life, I've called you Wes.
Yeah. That's for the majority of my life. That's what everybody calls me.
What's this Lee stuff at the end
Who
of it, buddy?
Who the fuck's Lee?
Wes Lee. Why? And why is he? Why is he imposting right now?
Who the fuck's Lee and why is he here?
Yeah, fuck Lee. No one likes him.
Anyway. Yes, no, I like the use of our first name. Now, obviously, we can still refer to each other as Commander Jodo or Rage Cuppy, but, you know,
in fact, I guarantee you I will.
Yes. I'm sure you will. Anyway, so yeah, you wanted to talk about first names. What did you want to talk about first names?
No, I honestly, I just wanted to talk about if we wanted to use
them. Oh, gotcha. Yours is very biblical. What?
You're not wrong.
I'm
fun
not.
Fact.
Mine's not. Yours is. It's very funny.
Yeah, fun fact, whenever my mother mentions why I was named the way I was named, she always mentioned that her Lutheran pastor of a father did not approve of it. But
why?
The name went through anyway.
What?
Oh, you're really trying to test my Old Testament knowledge here.
Oh, God. Is he someone who stabbed someone?
No, I believe Aaron was, like, the disciple of Moses that, like, made everyone worship a golden cow or something.
Oh, cool.
When he was away.
Do you like cows?
Well, you know, I guess. They're okay.
I just laughed because I was like, is he a guy who stabbed someone? That's half the damn Bible. It's just people stabbing people.
I have no idea if I'm right, by the way. I think that's why. Like, but you had me like reach into some like Sunday school curse like knowledge I had to remember, and I now may.
Well, I will say that mine is not nearly as interesting as yours. I'm named after a movie, so there you go.
I mean, it's better than mine.
Is it though?
And in fairness, that's not really what I'm named after. My parents just like the name Aaron.
Yeah.
It was like the third most popular name in 1991 or something. Year of my birth. my social security number is,
Yeah.
you know, it's why. That's really why. It has
Mm.
nothing to do like with biblical nonsense.
Speaking of social security numbers, so I was watching Taskmaster last night, and one of the tasks was for those of you who don't know who Taskmaster is, you're failing at life. It's free on YouTube. You should watch it. But one of the tasks was surprise Alex Horn, who is the assistant on Taskmaster, and and it was like, oh, put it in this egg and surprise him. He opens up the egg and he's like, this is all my banking details.
How would they get that?
The contestant called his wife. And so he's like, I don't know if I should be angry at my wife, but my wife would just get angry at me, so I'm not angry at my wife.
Mm-hmm. His beta male self came out. That makes sense. The chicks.
It's like you.
I haven't watched as much Task.
It's a joke.
Is it though?
No. No. Anyway,
moving on.
Moving on. No, Taskmaster is quite a lovely show. Yeah, I really like Taskmaster.
Yeah, I mean, I would say every time I come upstairs and if you're on the TV, that's what's on. It's Taskmaster time.
Yep.
That or Game Changers.
Hey, Game Changers is great. Mm-hmm. I love Game Changers. I mean, Dropout is very good.
It's unfortunately paywalled behind Dropout, but it's a cheap subscription.
It really is.
And you know, if you like, it's another place where I can get my role playing nonsense out. But oh my gosh,
speaking of role playing, speaking of role playing,
get the maid costume.
Well, I mean, not quite yet.
I don't have one, so
that's not true. Anyway, speaking of role playing,
I don't have an appropriate one for.
I bet you have some stuff to talk about this week about role playing. Actually, specifically, I think it's today.
Oh, are you talking about my session 2 today and how?
No, I was talking about Paizo.
No, that's actually tomorrow. I have no idea. I thought it was today.
Well,
but it's tomorrow. So
damn it.
I do know some things about it, but this is part of the reason why someone offered me to a way to get the PDF early, because if you're subscribed to Paizo stuff, I can at least get it and look at. But I was afraid I would have just started blabbering about nonsense today, and I was like, I don't want to blabber about nonsense all day. That'll be next week. Yeah. And B, I was like, there's a chance I wouldn't blabber probably about that, but there's like a chance my brain would just blab it out who gave it to me, and that could get, although I don't think it would, that could get them in trouble, and I don't want to risk that. So I didn't.
Okay.
So
let me steer this conversation away from that dangerous topic. And I have a question. Okay, well, I have a question for you that I had come up with when I was actually playing some Delta Green, and we had started a discussion about rules that we were, I wouldn't say purposely ignoring, but rules that didn't fit the theme of the campaign, because we were doing a little bit outside of what Delta Green is meant for. And it's really what rules, and I have plenty of rules. Specific.
I don't think we've ever explained to the class what Delta Green is.
Hey, if you want to see some Delta Green, you can go to the other podcast I'm associated with, which is the Reroll Gaming Podcast. Delta Green is, here's the long, short story of it. Delta Green is a organization that was set up in Vietnam, to take care of... This is a
tabletop game, by the way.
This is a tabletop game. Yes. The setting is in Vietnam. They set up this company called Delta Green that takes care of like supernatural, extraterrestrial, basically X-Files type stuff. So if there's something that's supernatural, then you go and Delta Green takes care of it, tries to see if it's something that's hostile, see if it's something that's, whatever it is. And then they got shut down, and the whole point of like the campaign, like the book, is you can play from Vietnam on. And it's like aliens or, cults or stuff like that, something that you would find along that nature. So we're doing it we're doing it just post 9/11. I think it's like 2002. So not a lot of like advanced technology, but we were talking about long story to get to the we're talking about rules that we don't really use in Delta Green, and there's not too many of them. There's not too many of those rules, but it made me think about specifically 5e. There are so many goddamn rules that get ignored in 5e, specifically the religious rules. Now, I'm a bit of a paladin connoisseur, if I do say so myself.
No, I've never heard of you wanting to or ever playing a paladin in my life.
Well, I mean, that's fair. But no, I don't think I've ever had a DM who's made me fall from whatever I've done, which I to be completely frank, I've never done anything that would make me a fallen paladin, except for on very specific, like, trying to do that situations, and it never happened. Or 2, religion doesn't really play a whole bunch of parts into any campaign that I've played. I usually make my own like religious idol and like my god, and then make a religion behind it, just because then I feel invested. But there like in level 3, or I think it's level 3 or 4, I think it's 3, you're supposed to get your god, and you're supposed to attune to your god, and you're supposed to be like, these are the tenets that you live by. People just go, cool, cool, this is my god, this is the buffs I get, all right, that's it. But when it comes to like certain situations, like the god of war, if you chose the god of war and you were in the middle of a town square trying to prevent a riot, would your god actually want that riot prevented? Or would your god of war say, trial by combat? That's how I live. That's a tenet of your god. And now you just broke that tenet. What's the repercussion?
I think that would depend on the alignment of the god.
Oh, chaotic god. I mean, the god of war, I think, is just like death, you know.
Well, the god of war may not be a god of riots, though, as well. It depends. Remember, I always think, like, when I make my gods, right?
Yep.
Unless I did the thing I did in like the house campaign to those gods, where like they got for at least a time a mortal kind of body. They think gods in my world think very macro, and so like you as a paladin letting a riot stop would maybe be like I don't think it'd be a tenet breaking paladin thing, because like it's a huge thing to break a tenet. It would be more of just like maybe it would depend. It also depends on what type of god of war you're talking about and stuff like that, because there are gods of war who are more like, you know, are like 1v1 combat kind of gods of war, and then there are gods of war who want you to start a crusade.
Counterpoint.
You know?
Counterpoint. What about warlocks? I'm just saying, like, warlocks. I have played plenty.
Agree with you.
Yeah, I've played plenty of campaign where a warlock, which is supposed to be someone who gets power from a patron, and the patron is not necessarily a good person, but they lead a lawful good person. And that alignment never shifts. Alignment's another thing. An alignment never gets used.
So as a Critical Role enjoyer, I will tell you that season 2 of campaign 2 of Critical Role has one of the best warlock kind of things I've ever seen in it, and besides what Baldur's Gate 3 did with their warlock, that's also very good with Will, if you've ever played Baldur's Gate 3. So here it's very interesting to me, because warlocks are not that, in 5e at least, are not that good of a class, and so you see warlocks get multi-classed all the time.
I mean,
and I almost feel like it's meant to happen in D&D, because it's so easy for a warlock, like it should be so easy for a warlock patron to be like, you're not doing what I want, goodbye.
Well, that's the whole point, is if you disobey the patron, then your power's gone. I would actually counterpoint that Hellish Rebuke is one of the best things you can get in 5e. I mean, at least for low level play, you know, Hellish Rebuke, as soon as you take damage, you get to counterattack, basically. So,
yeah.
It is a very good throw in 5e. But it is a very good it's a very good multi-class class. But it's just an interesting thing that came up, was just like there's so many rules around excuse me, around these things that we just ignore. Look at 3.5. Religious rules were I think even harsher. Like, for instance, if you were a paladin and you didn't live by those commandments, you strayed at all, your god would just be like, goodbye, done. Clerics,
It,
if you do not I think it's 3.5, where if the player didn't quote unquote pray daily, you couldn't heal anybody. Like, straight up, just could not heal anybody because you didn't get your holy
well,
power.
I know that like, I can tell this because Urber's a druid in my Pathfinder campaign. Some of those rules are still there. Urber cannot adorn cannot adorn metal.
Yeah,
There is
wooden
actually,
and
and
leather is fine.
And if he actually starts breaking, starts doing that, or he's a leaf druid, so if he begins to hurt leaves and trees in a harmful way, he will start gaining stacks of a thing that basically makes it so he loses his druid power.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's just it's an interesting thing that I don't see a lot of. I mean, people just kind of get to the point where it's just like, just go do your fucking thing, and it's like, okay, cool. So
Urber's in our chat. He's like, fallen druid, here we go, mere mortal man, let's go.
Yeah. By the way, we're not trying to ignore you in chat. Sorry.
We are running a show here, and that's totally fine.
Yeah,
they're used to it. It's okay.
Are they?
I just thought it was funny because he was there, so I had to.
No, it's a cool.
Let people have his live reaction.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I like the idea of consequences for your actions.
So, let me tell you about the Critical Role version. What happened, right? So he was about level 9 when he lost his warlock power. So you have this level 9, pretty good stonky stats character that just turned into a really shitty fighter, basically, right? You don't have any multi-attack. You don't have anything like that.
Yeah, you just
and so for about 5 sessions, he was worthless, and his character knew he was stuff. But during the 5 sessions, each session, there was a little hint of him trying to learn how to be a different class. Like, he was like literally like he had the monk was teaching him, doing her exercises with him in the morning. One of the clerics was like introducing him to his god and stuff like that. There was all this stuff going along. And there was also, along with this quest for this the cleric this whole time had this broken sword. And so I'm sure Matt Mercer, the DM, just went, well, when the sword is reforged, we'll see what he wants to do, right? Because it's just like, it was like their first +2 sword or +3 sword they're running into. So he made a big deal of it. They did this big quest to go find it, and when they forged the sword, it's basically been this quest for this cleric's god. And so when he decided, the warlock guy decided to go pray, he basically had this big event happen where in the dreams, like, he had got asked by the god, and it was kind of like a communion type thing, and asked it. And so he went into level 1 paladin. He multi-classed it into it, and now that god fulfills all his warlock needs. So he can still cast all his warlock stuff. It's just the god
interesting. Okay.
So, like, he's, they mentioned a description of the change of the hue of his Eldritch blasts and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Different.
Interesting. Well, that's kind of a cool little thing to put in there. Huh.
Yeah. So that's why I think, if someone turns off, you have to like, if you're enforcing those rules, to kind of go back, the your god rules and religion rules and stuff like that, you need to be very careful as a DM, because that can be almost like killing a character, right?
Well, it can be.
Yeah, it can be the equivalent of it, and it can lead to it. So you have to be very careful in how you craft that kind of stuff, because and talking outside of character is fine, but also just like letting your player explore and be okay. Because I also noticed, because you can see their stats every session, because he went to paladin, he was a warlock that had 11 strength, and so does not fit the paladin re-rack. So, as mentioning him coming out of this metamorphosis, he was a little stronger, and he gave him +2 to his strength. He just gave it to him. Right?
Well, I mean, just stat off charisma.
Well, you could do that, but that's fine. That all paladin, that's why paladin works, is all paladin magic is off of the charisma stat.
Yeah,
but you still have to have a, I believe, to multi-class into paladin, you have to have a base strength of
Oh yeah, you
13.
probably do. I'm not a big multi-classer, so I don't know.
Because he has to be able to wear heavy medium armor, which is
Yeah.
a 13 strength requirement. So, uh, so that's just what it is. That's it's like that type of stuff is very, you have to be very very kind of careful with that stuff. And I think it's if when done well, it's amazing. When
Yeah.
done poorly, it ruins campaigns.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it was a little more extreme than, and that's why people dropped it, but it's still just an interesting thing where it's like, hey, if you're a good person and you do shitty shit, you're supposed to change alignments. Like, I mean, alignments is another thing. Alignments.
In my Pathfinder campaign, I have not talked about alignments at all.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't know what they're doing in the remastered with it.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, I'm pretty sure if one of my campaign's neutral, so it wouldn't matter anyway.
Well, actually, it does matter, because even if you're neutral and you do shitty stuff, you go into the evil. You know, like if
That's
you
true. That's true.
you burn down an orphanage, you're pretty evil, right? That's just inherently evil. I don't know. It's just
Let's just say with my players, because I don't have a cleric or a paladin in my campaign. I don't have any super religious people in my campaign.
sure.
It would only matter as a damage stat.
I mean, that's not necessarily true. What if you have someone tracking them that has detect good and evil?
True.
What if you have a idol that can't be used by a good person? There are weapons, there are cloaks, there are
That's true.
plenty of
That's
equipment
fair.
that need an alignment, and that usually do get ignored. I don't think it's 5e. There was one.
5e doesn't have any requirements like that.
No, that's not true. There are some requirements for that. I was thinking that it was 3. No, I think it was 2.5.
Pretty sure 5e got rid of all those stuff in not when 5e first came out, but I looked at a lot of magical items in 5e.
I think there's only one or two, but I think there's like
maybe
yeah.
there's one or two.
Or at least it starts corrupting you or something like that. I thought there was. They could have taken it out. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. So you're talking about the sword. There's a sword that starts leeching your life if you don't follow its commands. So that's how they changed it, right? They made it literally start leeching your life away instead of changing your life.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But for instance, there was I think it's Redbox. I think it was 2, D&D 2, way back when, where if you use like the deck of many things and you harmed someone, your alignment would shift. Such as if you created or if you created your knight or whatever, you know, the little guy that I created in our campaign, and he died, your alignment would shift because he was your ward. Stuff like that.
That's cool. I like that, but that's a lot. That's so part of the reason I think alignment is changed is because RP's been more involved. 5e lost a lot of rules, and alignment kind of happened with it because people don't want to, like, because I fucked up in this campaign, now I have to be bad. Like, people don't like that.
And I don't blame them for it. I don't blame them for it at all. I'm just saying it's one of the things that we ignore. Absolutely. So
like I said, and this is another thing is like, if you have a person who's like, I'm this, but they're starting to behave like something they're not, you need to have a conversation with them and be like, it's totally okay with what you're doing, but I'm just letting you know.
You're not this.
You're not really a good guy. So that's why I don't really work. That's why I don't really talk about it and all and stuff like that. It's also, I look, if I can talk about roles, because I can't tell, because this is a not major spoiler, but it is a spoiler in itself. And for my sessions, playing on Foundry, so I did last Tuesday was my first ever time playing a game in a actual like virtual TV, like virtual rig. And I didn't get a rule right, but Foundry did.
Oh, cool.
And it was something that was bugging me, and I was like, why is this like this? And I just couldn't figure it out, because it was when I was leveling up everyone, I was noticing stuff, and it was because Foundry knew a rule, and I'll tell you after the show. Foundry knew a rule that I didn't know. Well, I knew it was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And to give you a hint of what it was the same thing that had to do with your character in the Pathfinder campaign we did, as the same similar things that had to do with your character.
Hmm.
But Foundry basically let me know the ruling of it.
Good.
So, and then I was able to look, oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's an interesting thing I didn't think about. We'll just say I'll tell you after the show what it is, but it's interesting to be like, if I get something wrong, it's good to know that Foundry's got my
Yeah.
I have a platform that literally will be like, you can't do this.
Yeah.
It's not allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's easier because I mean, yes and no, because at the same time, if you want to homebrew something, does it allow you to do that?
So in well, wait, I can talk about this. So on stuff that like says that the DM has its own discretion. So swashbucklers gain this thing called panache in
Yeah, but I know
Pathfinder.
panache.
Yeah, and so they get it automatically if they do a couple things.
Yeah.
Successfully, but also at the DM's discretion, I can just give it to them.
Right.
So I can
right.
at any time just give them that stuff. So yeah, it lets me homebrew stuff as well.
Cool. Well, that's
It
great.
just yeah. It's just it was something that I didn't remember.
Yeah.
So it was really nice that it did its thing and I didn't like have to retcon something or
Good,
anything like
good.
that, you know.
No, that's good. I'm glad that that system actually seems to be working well because, I mean, the only thing that I've really used for virtual like tabletop is Roll20. Don't get me wrong, Roll20 does a great job at what it does, but something a little more is you know, something specific to Paizo, something specific to Wizards of the Coast, something specific to anything is better because they curtail it to Pathfinder, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah. So a lot of it is not just Foundry. It's the PAs or team behind the Pathfinder module. That's the real like person that does it because they are the reason this rule worked
Right.
and the reason the game just kind of went. But
Yeah,
and like I looked at like the chat log of like what happened there, and I was like, oh, it actually told me.
Yeah. Which is really cool.
I just didn't see it.
I like that. I
And
like
it
how
didn't
it
tell
told
anyone
you.
else. It told the DM. It
Yeah.
didn't tell anyone else.
I like how
happened,
I like
which
how
is
it
the
told
best
you.
part.
Yeah.
So,
I did like how it tell you. So, but yeah, no, it was just something that we came up with. Man, our Delta Green campaign is going really well. I like it a lot.
How's it going?
It's very good. I don't want to spoil too much.
Can I do something really quick? I want to explain something because I feel like your explanation of Delta Green was good, but Delta Green as a tabletop game is a paranormal experience kind of thing most of the time. You are basically you start as normal people that have a paranormal or like war vets or like maybe you are a soldier. But you start with people who are like normal person stats.
Yeah.
And you progress in a way. It's usually played as a series of one shots because like a serial one shot. Oops, sorry about that. A serial one shot kind of thing because it is designed to make it so
Well, so here's the example. For instance, I'm playing a doctor. My friend is playing a firefighter. My other friend is playing someone who works for the FBI but is an analytical team member for the FBI. One of them's a criminal, you know, just a small time little criminal that got involved. So it's not we started with no paranormal experience. The first season, so the first season of Delta Green was all of us except for the criminal getting exposed to the paranormal. So essentially, we were living a standard life. The first 2 to 3 episodes was us just being like, man, this random event happened and we're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. This is a weird thing. It's something you could still rationalize as like, man, that guy got really messed up. That guy got fucked up. But hey, you know, rationalize it away, compartmentalize it, cool. And then you go through your normal life and you're like, uh-oh, pieces are falling together that this is really not something that's normal. And then it got to the point where you're like, and there's a there's a mechanic in this because this Delta Green is a I guess you could say a
You just
mod.
leaned in like you're a gamer. That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Now I gotta
But
focus here, guys.
yeah, Delta Green is a an offshoot of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game.
Oh, it
So it
is.
started as Call of Cthulhu, and it went. They said, "Oh, let's make this thing called Delta Green," because just punched my mic. Because people don't necessarily want to play
Being rude to the
Cthulhu.
mics
I
today.
know we are. People don't necessarily want to play Cthulhu, which is understandable. That may not be their theme, but they want to play a psychological thriller. So they made this. So there's a mechanic called your mental state. You make rolls every time you see something that a normal person would freak out about, can't comprehend. And if you're
saves, basically.
yeah, so if your mental state gets to your breaking point, then you have a mental break to the point where you could be either temporarily insane, you could go like my character had a mental break in the first season, and he got dissociative disorder because of it. So
I mean, it could be very helpful.
well, I mean, I guess it was I got to choose a disorder, right? And I chose to RP someone
Hey.
as like a compartmentalizing dissociative disorder.
Lucky you to being able to choose.
Yeah,
your
I got to choose.
disorder.
It was all under like there was like an umbrella that we rolled, and we got to, and it's like out of this line you choose that. And it was the thing that made the most sense for my character's background, and so I was like, okay, I'll play into this. So someone who basically compartmentalizes this event into that persona and tries to create a new persona. I forget what the actual medical term is for it.
Persona. Sorry, I'm just Persona 5 just
Yeah,
seeped into my brain there, and I couldn't.
But it's
stop. Let it go. Let it go. No.
But
Nope.
but it's cool because it's just normal people. You don't start as someone who's seen it all. You don't start as someone, or you can, but we didn't start as someone who's seen any of it. And it was RPing these people experiencing this for the first time, and then coming back to season 2, my character didn't want to have anything to do with it. My character was like, no, I can't. And then my character's friend Ronnie was like, hey, I'm going on this. I would like you to come. And that was the catalyst for my character to be like, okay, that's fine. And so they're in season 2. But yeah, I mean, it's been a fun campaign. We're really getting to the meat and potatoes of what's going on with season 2. The meat and potatoes of what's going on with season 2, and I'm very excited to continue to play. I encourage you to check it out, see if it's the type of tabletop experience you want.
You get so sad every time you guys have to cancel your recording session.
I know. It's just like, it's just so fun. It's light. It's very fun. Dog walked away. It's light, it's fun, and it's just like, I don't know. I enjoy it. I think out of all the, it's hard to say if it's the one that I enjoy the most that I'm playing right now. Shadowrun's fun. Star Wars I love. So it's hard to compete with Star Wars, but I don't know. It's a very good experience, and I'm enjoying doing the podcast with that. So, but that's mine.
I'm sure Zane loves every time I open the door behind you and hears.
I actually when I'm not talking, I kill my mic input.
Yeah, I know, but still, like when I can see it every time I open the door behind you, the lighting slightly changes, and I'm just like, sorry, Zane.
We don't use video. We don't use video. It's strictly audio only.
Okay. So the video is just for you guys.
The video is just for us guys. We just do it Discord. Yeah.
So I'm not using any video for besides Foundry for the stream, but I was thinking about having my face cam on for Discord for people to look at for my players, because I realized on session 1 I was doing so much movement in my speech that I was like, maybe I should have my cam on.
I genuinely encourage everybody to use their face cam. I do, and the reason is
because the players do it.
Well, it's something that I would genuinely encourage. I wouldn't make people do it because I know there's people who are uncomfortable with that, and I respect that completely. But there is something lost. I'm someone who wants to play tabletop RPGs in person. That is my preferred media of doing that. And with the Delta Green campaign, we have people who live in Texas, so we can't do that. But my I found that the face cam, you get to at least read the person's expression when you're RPing with someone. It's super easy to get into an RP with them because you get to read their facial expression. And you get to, you get to experience if someone's angry at you, if someone's happy, if someone's sad. It's just the type of RP that I live for in these games. Just to get into it. I mean, that's really what I play tabletop for, is really the RP.
I know.
It's
I
the
know it
rolling
is.
the dice is secondary to me. Rolling the dice, unless it's like roll this dice.
I love the dice.
I
understand.
respect that.
Let's get, this is the DM's perspective, right? Everything I do is based off the dice, right? Like I can't plan anything because the moment I plan something, someone rolls a natural one and everything goes to shit. Like, well, I can plan.
Yeah, of course you can plan.
Right? But like, I can't say like, so there's something that's gonna. I have a plan for what's gonna happen in session 2. It probably will be what happened, but I cannot assume to know what my players will do based off of dice. Like that's what it is, right? Like I can't like I have a little funny thing that's gonna happen at the start of the session, and I'm like pretty sure I know how that's gonna go, but there's a chance that Gib, our kobold, is gonna go, and just the whole thing is done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, so I don't know. The campaigns that I GM, and I was actually thinking about this. I want to GM another campaign. I really do. I want to GM another campaign.
You want to run the House Pathfinder campaign? You can, if you want to run it.
I want to run something that gets broadcasted. I really do.
Ooh.
I would like to broadcast
Spoilers.
one. And I don't know what it seems as though that, excuse me. It seems as though people don't really want to play, for lack of a better term, a Star Wars campaign. People are not interested in playing a space opera as much as I am, and that's fine. I don't want to run a space opera. I want to play a space opera.
Chance that will probably be when Starfinder 2nd edition comes out next year.
I'm not going to play Starfinder. I'm not going to play because that's Spelljammer for Paizo, right? That's Paizo's version of Spelljammer.
So, but so it's gonna be really interesting because 2nd edition, and the person in chat who just said no knows more than I do.
Okay. Because I know Spelljammer's D&D.
Yeah. So Starfinder 2nd edition, I know just the interesting things I know about 2nd edition of Starfinder is it will be fully compatible with Pathfinder 2nd edition and the remaster rules.
But Starfinder is not like D&D in space. It is actually the year 3000.
I know that, like, so some of the stuff I watched at their Gen Con production, it's in the future. There is magic, but there is also space guns.
Right.
So I assume the magic is just like Jedi bullshit.
Right.
Well, guns are guns,
I like running a D&D proper, like not necessarily D&D, but that era. I like running the magic and the sword and board. I don't necessarily. I've played so much of it that I would prefer to play a space opera. Oh yeah,
Pathfinder.
Yeah.
That's what I have no idea. You'd have to talk to Schism.
But if I'm playing a space opera,
you can have him on as an expert.
If there is a space opera, then we'd get no information out of him. If space opera, I want to play a space opera. I don't want to run a space opera. I want to run a magic and sword and board because it's something that I've been exposed to for a very long time, and I'd be pulling from Lord of the Rings. I'd be pulling from all this stuff that I've read in books to create a world, and I have a world that I've created that I've never run anybody in, and it's sad because I think it's a pretty cool world. It's just I don't know. I'd rather run that, and I'd rather play in space, if that makes sense.
So you want to run you want to run a fantasy?
I would like to run a fantasy, and I would like to play.
Would it be that world that I played in for like 3 episodes or whatever, 3 sessions?
That world, that was a town.
That was a town in that world.
Yes, and your monk's still running around it being drunk.
I will tell you that's the only time I've ever enjoyed being a player in any sort of D&D type thing is that drunk monk. Because I just drank every time I came over to your apartment and played the monk, and it was absolutely amazing. I loved my fault in that monk, that I could not hold more than 100 gold.
I also liked that fault as well.
I loved it.
Yeah.
The moment he got 101 gold pieces, he would go to the nearest like religious center or
And there you go.
thing and just give it
Yep,
away. And like
absolutely.
leave like 20 gold so he could buy alcohol.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
That's all I would do.
But
So,
yeah, I really do feel like I would like to do that, and I don't know what platform I would run it on. I don't know Pathfinder that well. The platform that everybody knows the best is D&D. But Pathfinder is, from what I've heard, like a very good
I share all my
platform.
books with you online. So
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
always go look.
Yeah. So anyway,
I would say for creating your own world, Pathfinder is the best because it has so many rules you can support your world on.
yeah.
Right? You don't have to worry about like if you want to have some god rules, you can slot your own god name into these god rules.
No, yeah,
and stuff
absolutely.
like that.
Yeah.
And you have the 5e's like was a lot. It was a lot of fun building my world, but slotting like bringing my world into Pathfinder, what I had was really easy
Mhm.
because it's like it's all there, and then
Mhm.
tomorrow it's gonna have a bunch of different names, but it's still gonna all be
Yeah.
there.
Well, the problem that I would run into is people playing, like I don't know if anybody would want to play, and don't know if we could get schedules to work.
Play.
Hmm?
If you explain Pathfinder, yeah, scheduling is always the hardest thing. Trust
Yeah.
me. If you explain Pathfinder in the way that it's just D&D 5e, but instead of action, bonus action, movement, it's action, action, action. People go, ooh, that means I can attack 3 times in a row, and they don't think about that. There's all this stuff to make it so you don't really attack 3 times in a row.
I want to play with new people. I don't want to play with this is not against anybody I played with. I love.
Wow.
You would be new people. I've DM'd you 3 sessions of bullshit.
That's fair.
If you ever wanted to play, but
if we find time somewhere, I would do it for you.
Oh,
100%.
well, thanks. But I would want people who I haven't gotten a chance to play with. I would like to branch out and experience playing with new people. So that's something that I have been thinking about, and I think that I'm going to try and get working. So
maybe after you've done your miniature thing, because that's coming up in like what, 4 months or something.
That is coming up in March, and paint while I DM. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The miniature thing's on track. It's on schedule, so I'm not really worried about doing that. So, but yeah. Anyway, it sounds like I might have some people that are interested.
You might have to.
No. It will happen, and if anybody is truly interested, I've been thinking about this for so long that I was thinking about doing a session 0 in December. So, you know. Sure. Anyway.
Can I play my monk again?
What's that?
Can I play my monk again?
Can you do a monk in Pathfinder?
No. Yeah, oh yeah. You can
Can you do a drunk monk in Pathfinder? Yeah. Oh. Fuck, what did I just do?
Literally anything. Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome to what happened to me when I asked 6 people to be like, hey, do you want to play Pathfinder? And they all said yes. And they all could share a time slot. And I was like, oh.
Oh. Anyway.
I better start planning this.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Anyway. Moving on.
I have a thing to talk about. I forget what episode we talked about it in. Well, goodbye, everyone who's not millennial. Have a nice time. My father has a rebuttal about the maintenance.
Yeah.
Maintenance. We said in a later podcast. We said in an earlier podcast. At least someone did.
No.
Possibly Aaron said that his father didn't do any maintenance on his appliances. My dad will have an official rebuttal when we have him on the podcast one of these days. But the short version of it is, I am wrong. And also, my dad watches our podcast.
Oh no!
So
why is Papa Cup watch?
I don't know. He's retired. He's got lots of time on his
It's
hands.
true.
I
I'm
don't
so
know.
sorry. I'm so
He
sorry.
likes to make me suffer. No, no. Well, he's supporting his son's endeavors.
Oh, the Sisyphusian endeavor. Yes.
So yeah. So yeah, that's what I've learned. I just obviously have bad false memories, or a lack of memories, which is actually very on par for me of just repressing everything in my
I mean,
life.
you were a kid. I mean, who cares if someone does maintenance on an appliance? Like, that's not interesting to you.
Not me.
Exactly. Like, I'm sure. So my parents own a business and they maintain their equipment for the business. I'm sure my dad did maintenance on the appliances too, like the refrigerator or the oven or whatnot. But it's just. That's awesome. I absolutely love that he watches this, and I absolutely love that he will find out all the details that you don't want him to find out.
Oh yeah.
I will.
Well, like it's not that I don't want him to find out. It's just I don't offer up. You don't offer. You don't like.
You don't.
You don't offer up everything.
Nope,
It's just
absolutely not.
He gonna find out now, and
Yeah. My parents, however, do not. They don't touch technology very much, so I'm in the clear.
Yeah, but your parents also like all the time. So like, what are you gonna like? Oh no, my dad's watching this.
So I
Shut
actually,
up, Dad, or I'll tell everyone about.
I actually have used that against them. I was.
You can't anymore. It's all legal. So.
Oh no, I still do. Because growing up, it was like, don't do that. Don't, well, they didn't really harp on about it, and I really didn't want to do it anyway, so I didn't.
Yeah.
But it was so funny because they're like, oh yeah, you got to be a good kid. I was like, yeah, I don't care. I'll be a good kid. I didn't drink until I was 20, for Christ's sake. And then like 20, like 2 months before my birthday, my buddy Nick came over and was like, would you like a drink? And I'm like, it's close enough. And I told my mom the next day, and she's like, man, it took you long enough. And I was like, all right, thanks, Mom, appreciate it.
I feel like your parents were like, be a good kid, but if you're bad.
Yeah, well, they were the thing of like, I don't want you to do anything stupid. I if you do something stupid, do it safely, right? Don't do drugs, but if you drink, do it safely. And I was like, I had a mixed drink, and they're like, oh, you poor thing, you're 21 in like 3 weeks. Good job. and I was genuinely like, oh, okay. But I was telling them that I was over to go see my cousin and go hang out. That was for the Cthulhu game we played. I went over early to say hello to them. And they were like, oh, what are you going to go do? And I was like, oh, I'm going to go play, tabletop RPG with these guys. And they're like, oh, you're going to go drinking? Oh, you're drinking so much. And I was like, shut up. I'm not the one doing this at home. They're like, all right, fair enough.
I'm sure it's for pain management, though.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, to be fair, my dad's 68 and he's still cutting concrete. For Christ's sake, like that's
why?
Because that's the business they own. They
I thought he sold that. I didn't realize.
No. They still own that business. So like he's still doing quite manual labor, and it's just, and they take care of the gardens and stuff. So it's not like they bake it into like cookies, and then they have a cookie at night, and then they go to bed. I still make fun of them for it, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's, hey. You're in your 60s. You're good people. You've lived a good life. Enjoy your time. Who gives a shit?
I think I got told this story by your wife that like there was a time you walked into your parents' house and there's cookies on the table and like you went for them and your mom just like freaked out.
I was like, yeah. So I was like, I came in because I haven't had mom's cookies in so long, and she bakes. So my grandmother was very Norwegian.
Oh, I know.
Bakes the best shit. Mm-hmm. It's crack, let me tell you. And I walked in, and my mom bakes just like my grandmother. So like pies and bread and all these, she bakes anything, and it's like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. And so I walked into the house, and they hadn't. To be fair, okay, I did look at the chat. How is Norwegian cookies better, Aaron?
They're made with lard.
Crisco, my friend,
Yeah.
Crisco.
Made with Crisco.
Oh God,
and-
it's yeah. So, but
yeah, it's not
so I
good.
walked in and I'm like, man, something smells like baked goods. It didn't smell like normal cookies, obviously, but I was like, it smells like baked goods. And I saw the cookies and I was like, oh shit, I'm going to have a fresh chocolate chip cookie. And I'm like walking to the kitchen and I saw my dad outside and he was like, hey, well, yeah, mom's in the kitchen. She's just baking some stuff. I was like, oh, cool. So I walk in. I'm like, dude, there's cookies. I'm going to take one. And I'm literally reaching for one. And I'm like, hey, mom, I'm taking a cookie. She's like, no. Don't! And I'm like, what? Did you poison them?
Yes. The answer to
Yes.
that is yes.
You work for the state. You can't have these. And I was like, oh, why did you do this to me? So anyway, yes, that did happen.
Game.
Oh, it's all right. It's fine. Oh, but you know, oh, whatever. I would like to.
I'm glad we got this off of my issue and got to your parents.
Well, I have
Your
another issue to
employees.
talk to you about.
Yeah.
What
go
type
for
of
it.
footwear? And this is a weird question. What type of footwear do you like to wear? And what type of footwear do you find works best for your feet?
So
Let me clarify.
this is the foot fetish portion of this podcast.
More like
apparently.
shoes.
Oh.
Let me clarify. So I have a pair of Romeos that I wear for. That's my standard. You really went somewhere
as
with
I said
this.
that, do you know? As I said that, do you know what went through my head?
Huh.
My dad watches this.
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, he does. Yes, he does. But like I wear Romeos, which are like boot shoes, like slip-on boot shoes, basically. And
Yeah.
and I just got insoles for them. Oh, my feet are so happy.
So I have feet that are giant rectangles. Basically, I have had my entire life. When I was a kid, the only shoe I could wear was New Balances because they were the only shoe that was wide enough for my troll feet.
Fair.
And so I wear, if I wear shoes, I'm wearing those. I'm wearing the dad New Balances because the only one that fit.
Hey,
That
there
or
you go.
it's sandals.
Well,
Or
uh-huh.
I have one boot I really like, and I got it from Red Wing Shoes.
Red
and
Wings are very
it's-
good. Yeah.
It was when I was they still are good, and from when I was working at Metro. That's how
Yeah.
it's been like 4 years, and they're still holding up. And they have the zipper on the side of them, so you don't ever like they have laces, but you never got laces. You just
Yep.
zip up the side of your boot, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
Love it.
Red Wings are wonderful. I mean, I have to fit into a size 14, so my shoes are wide anyway.
Yeah, I'm like 11.4.
Yeah,
bro. It's like
yeah,
whatever
it's
that
an-
means in
yeah.
American shoe size.
But I was thinking about this because I was walking a lot when I flew out to Tennessee. I
Oh
accidentally
yeah, you should talk about why you were gone for
I
a week.
should.
We had to pre-record.
I should. But I accidentally wore my Romeos. Should have wore tennis shoes. Should have wore trainers.
Yeah.
But you know, I was sitting there and I was like, my feet are destroyed. So I got the insoles and it was like, oh, this is wonderful. But I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, like it's one of the things that I don't think a lot about until I actually go shoe shopping, which I'm not a big shopping guy. I don't like going out and trying on a whole bunch of shoes or clothes or
No one
anything.
does.
No, that's true.
And if you do, probably in shape.
You're probably in shape. I am a shape.
I am also a slightly bigger version of the shape you are.
But I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I got back and I went to the gym and I put my Hokas on. And I was like, there's a lot of support in these Hokas. And it's just something that
What's a Hoka? Because
it's a tennis
it
shoe.
sounds like you're just mispronouncing
Hoka.
Okay, it's
Hoka. And they're
It's a tennis shoe, folks.
and I was walking around in them. I'm like, man, these things are freaking comfortable. So I don't know why I thought about it and wrote it down, but I was like, it's an interesting thing that I don't really think about until I was like, my feet are destroyed and I need help.
I know why you wrote it down, because we're getting old, Shadow. We're at that. We're just on like there are people in our community that are older than us. They're like, you're not, but we're just starting to slip into that. Like we're
Look,
starting to get old.
I woke up the other day and somehow had injured my knee in the middle of the night. Okay, I am old.
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time. That's
I woke up and I'm like, what the fuck did I do to myself? Did I like run a marathon in my sleep? Ow. I slept wrong and now I'm disabled for 2 days. Like, God, it just, yes, I respect that people, I respect that people try and encourage us, that we're still
my
young.
shoulder hurts as we're talking about this. Now.
Yeah,
I have no idea
exactly.
what it's because I weigh like 8,000 pounds. Or something.
I felt. But anyway, yeah, it was just an interesting thing that popped in my head. I'm like, it's a thing my parents harped on about all the time, was like good shoes, arch support, good shoes, arch support, because I was in sports, and I would get, if I was playing basketball, I would get new basketball shoes every year because yep, they'd break down and basically be flat. Or cleats were a big thing. I got new cleats every year. And I was like, man, this is like new sports shoes every year. This is weird. And as I grow older, I'm like, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense because you're destroying those things as you're playing.
Yeah.
But
me as a person who's a big looks like a giant hippie, I don't wear shoes as much as possible because the same.
Do you call them foot prisons?
The foot prisms.
The foot prisms.
No, I mean it's just like if you're doing something professional with your feet, you need good shoes.
Yeah.
But there's also like the other side of it is people just wear the same shoes and then they're, if they're doing stuff active in it, you got problems.
Yeah.
So that's why you just don't wear shoes, and then you have giant calluses all over your feet for your entire life.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I for firefighting, I have very, very good sturdy boots. Holy crap. So they're called Haix, Haix, and they're
Aches that.
I can't. But they have the zip up front, which I love. I hate you. You know what?
You know that guy redid his video, the Numa Numa guy?
He renewed his video?
He did it again, and he did a Numa Numa 2023 edition.
Oh my god.
He redid it.
I love that.
He looks exactly the same, just older. It's great. And like it's in high quality. It's wonderful.
Okay, I need to watch that.
Yeah, you have to. I'll make sure I said it. That's why I was doing. I'm like, because I remember. So when I didn't have long hair and like this. Hello.
I'm a lady.
I was stroking as I was, for audio listeners, as I was saying that I was stroking my very long neck beard. When I didn't have this, people I literally got asked a couple times as a kid, "Are you the Numa Numa guy?" I'm like, "No." But that's like early internet nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, take us off of the feet. Get us a different topic. I demand it.
My therapist broke up with me.
And that's the end of the episode.
She didn't. I found it. I had a very entertaining. So I want to talk this because I had a very entertaining conversation with my therapist, and I had a realization as I was doing it. I sounded like my father, and I felt like I should tell this because my dad will listen and he'll tell me it's right. So my therapist and my healthcare insurance provider are having some issues. So she's like, I probably will be able to work it out and all this stuff. But I if we want to go to once a month, it's fine. And she wasn't going to charge me for it, even though my insurance type of thing. And I had this instant like, no, that's not how therapy works. There's like, your time has value to it in money. And I'm saying all this stuff, and I'm like, I sound like my father.
But I mean, I mean that's the proper thing to do, though. That
that's what you should do.
You don't work for free.
But there's another thing is like I'm probably her third or second longest standing client, and I'm probably one of the best. Like, and my mental health isn't 100% great, but she works with veterans and people with PTSD. Right. So I am currently in like probably one of the better parts of her clientele. So she's like talking to you is easy, like, and stuff. But it's just like I'm like just like by the end of the year, I'll shoot you an email, see if you figured it out and stuff and all this. But it was so interesting because like my uh I just sometimes speak like my dad, and I didn't explain it well enough because it's gone now. It's like it was a fleeting moment,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
it was very much a like I don't know if it's because I probably what happened is I just turned my dad voice on, and
Yeah.
it's like this is not how this works.
Yeah.
You have time, you have value, and
Let
stuff
me
like
let me
this.
explain to you how this works.
Yeah, and I just realized it was like, yeah, that's the way my dad explains stuff to people, and it's like,
Yeah, that's fair. That's that's
oh
that's
man,
that's fair. No,
but it's fine.
I'm glad
She
you
didn't
have a
really. I just
therapist.
also like saying my therapist breaks up with me. It's
Yeah.
fun to say that.
I mean, I'm glad you have a therapist. I'm glad your therapist likes you.
I've had a
I need a therapist. I
If
haven't
you had
seen a
I already
therapist.
told you she don't have her insurance, I would highly recommend her. She's a wonderful woman that is her own boss that works down in
I
Florida now she's
I
at,
haven't
but
had a therapist for six 6 years. Yeah.
I highly, and this isn't because you have issues, but with your line of work
No,
and
just
like,
it. I actually really advocate that everybody should have a therapist.
yeah, yeah.
Check in and just be able to talk to someone who is removed from your situation. Like, don't have friends as therapists, that never works. But someone who's completely removed from your situation, who can take an exterior view and take a look and go, yeah, I can validate you, or yeah, this is what looks like's going on, give you some genuine advice that it's something that it's a value that people don't use a lot. And I get it. You don't want to open up to a stranger. You don't want to put your heart out on, but like,
It's really hard to find a therapist sometimes
it is, because you
because
need to
I
find someone
will.
who works with you.
Yeah, I will tell you like probably before I got my therapist, it was I think I went through like 6 of them
Yeah.
because I was just like and it would be like this, and so it was all through my work at the time, and they're all people who had dealt with bus drivers. So I was like, you have no idea what
Yeah.
I am talking about. You claim to, but it's like you're telling me all this nonsense. You're
Yeah.
like I was very happy with Shelly. Shelly's the name of my therapist because she is a person who will tell me what I need to hear.
Yeah.
She won't just
Yeah.
agree with me. She's very much one of the she's a therapist that's like she's that, and then because now we've known each other for so long, she can be like, you're slipping back into this.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing right now, right? And then she'll like make me at this point try to piece together what I'm doing wrong again. Because well, it is. That's what therapists are for. And
Yeah.
I don't want I oh my goodness. There are some therapists out there that I totally get why, like especially if you have ADHD, there are some therapists that will misconstrue ADHD as like a you don't really want to be there thing. It's awful. And it's just like I
Yeah.
don't know why having someone who's like used to dealing with people so much worse than I was worked, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah.
So
I lucked out with the therapist that I had. Unfortunately, he is like how do you say, a crisis therapist, like a current crisis therapist. So it
yeah.
was in the middle of me, you know, coming to terms with that I had PTSD, coming to terms with kind
Yeah,
of
I
like
would say that.
me finding out that
You were
I was
you were
being
coping
affected.
unhealthy and then you
Oh,
figured it out.
very unhealthily coping with
This was a
PTSD.
long time ago
Long
for
time
people in
ago.
the audience.
Yeah, a long time ago. And I got to the point where I seriously, genuinely needed help. And I reached out to a first responder helpline, and they set me up with this gentleman, and he was very, very good at his job. Uh, and helped me through a heck of a lot of stuff. And yeah, no, it was great. I wish that he did just like, I guess you would say, general therapy, general counseling, but he just does emergent stuff. So I need to do some research and find one that that I could work with very well. So that's on my to-do list this
It's
next year.
just it's a thing it takes a lot of lots to do. It's a lot of research, annoyingly. So
It is a lot of
a
research.
lot of works have that type of stuff, but it's also like just figure out. Usually, it's just you. Honestly, what I would do is just like if you're looking for a doctor, most insurance providers have like a therapist version of that, and just go
Yeah.
down the fucking list, man. That's
Yep.
what you really just gotta do.
Yep, exactly.
Just like what you specialize in. They'll be like, I specialize in alternative thought processes, and those ones probably not a good fit for you. Good fit for some people. For you, probably not.
Nah. Are you saying that I think very linearly? Thank you.
No, I just think that if someone gave you some bullshit, you'd be like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Meditation doesn't work for me. Goodbye. It doesn't. I've tried.
No, well, and so that's the interesting thing is when you have panic attacks, they don't tell you to meditate, but they try to tell you to like they try to give you a whole bunch of tricks to like try to like do stuff that's like meditation, but it's not.
Mhm.
That shit don't work for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't work a minute, but like it works. They just had to find it a way. It's like it's not meditation. It's
Yeah,
we just need to keep exploring
this
how
thing.
to figure
Yeah.
that out. So,
Yeah.
which is probably why it took me so long to stop having panic attacks.
I'm glad you don't. You know, and this
Most of the time I don't.
yeah. And this doesn't, I'm not trying to like sound shitty or anything, but I don't think I've genuinely had a panic attack. I don't know if I have. If that makes sense. Like
It took me a while to realize that I was having them because like for me they started as like it snuck up on me because like I'm so good at compartmentalizing stuff
Oh yeah.
that like when you just dread going to work for 3 minutes and you realize you're just laying on the couch for the entire 30 minutes and you're not moving, and then you're like having all these cycling thoughts, your therapist goes, that sounds like you're having a panic attack. Or like at least a emotional breakdown.
Oh yeah.
It's like
yeah.
oh, and then I'm like tired after it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I just don't.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people in those types of situations, and I've just never correlated anything that I've experienced with that type of situation. Now, of course, people experience things differently. You know, everybody experiences things differently. Trauma, panic attacks is a very good one that people experience differently.
We slipped into a deep conversation.
We absolutely did.
This is just like why do we lie, Bruce, all over
Why
again?
do we lie, Bruce? Part 2.
Why do we panic, Bruce?
Electric Boogaloo. Anyway, it's an interesting thing that I guess what I was trying to correlate is that sometimes some things can affect someone, and other times it manifests in one way, not the other. If that makes sense.
Well, and there's also like panic attacks, and there's anxiety attacks, and then there's like just like being overstimulated and stuff. Because that's what I'm right now. So like for people who have been with me the past few years, and a lot of people during the pandemic, I'm probably coming out of a really bad emotional state.
No.
And
I'm sorry I had to.
The next you're just coping. That's all it is.
I'm surprised it's not down to your waist. You trimmed that thing, and I was like, come on. That's quitter talk.
No, I haven't trimmed this.
You shaved like.
Oh yeah, I shaved. I shave it all off. But this is the one who's probably gonna trim it off is sitting next to me right now. She's about done with it.
Hold on, I got scissors.
She does too. Don't worry about it.
No, I got dressmaker scissors.
Moving on.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, keep talking.
Hey,
we got an EpiPen too. It's fine.
Is that a real one?
No, it's a trainer.
A trainer? Yeah, okay.
We don't use these anymore, so they were like, "Would you like one?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever."
But like, I had to deal with the first time ever. I realized like some like instead of having to deal with depression, I'm dealing with like ADHD stuff. Like there was a day like last week,
yeah,
or maybe because I'm getting busier and busy. Like part of like getting better is ramping up what you're doing, right? It's like how you went from doing nothing and us hanging out down here all the time to now your busiest sin. So now I had to deal with something that was interesting where I felt all the symptoms of depression except I wasn't sad. And I just kind of like like the
Yeah. No,
feeling of
I get you.
heaviness, or
Yeah.
like not wanting to do anything. I'm like, this feels like depression. I had to realize that it was the day. Oh, that's what it was. The day after. It was actually like last week. It was the day after all of session 1. I just sat on the couch and was like, done. And it was just like I was just overstimmed all to hell. So I just
Yeah.
had to sit and like not do anything. And I was like, I
That's
had to
fair.
like figure that out now. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's just a fatigue of doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wild to deal with stuff like that now. It's like it's just a process. I'm not super depressed anymore, but oh boy, is it wild. And that is an absolute cursed image that we have in our chat right now. That's very distracting to my ADHD brain.
Apparently, I mean,
I think I might get rid of it. Just gonna scroll up so I don't have to see it anymore. How about that? That works.
but yeah, I feel you. I feel you 110% on that overstimulation thing. It's just like, ugh, no. You kind of have been peopling out, and then you just go, and you're just like, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. So,
I think we're done with this podcast.
well, we have one more topic that we'll talk about.
No.
Well, we'll talk about it in the after show.
Oh, right.
It was a viewer topic.
Ooh, we'll talk about that in the post show for sure then. But anyway, thank you all for watching today's episode of the You Don't Have to Be Right podcast, where us two idiots talk to each other for a amount of time.
It was just
thank you to our
incoherent rambling.
Yeah, thank you to our $10 patron,
$5
Rainbow
patron.
Kiwi. No, it's 5. It was 10. I think it's 10. They're at the 10 tier. They're at the tier to be shouted out anyway. Who cares what they're doing? Thank you for our patron, Rainbow Kiwi, who did the thing and did it all. 10 to 5. Who cares?
I mean, anyway. I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap. Thank you so much for.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, and I don't know why you support us, but thank you.
You're supporting
thank
us.
You.
That's $500 New Zealand. There we go.
Before we, oh god, yeah, we have an actual Patreon, and it's hype. So, all right.
You can also find us on YouTube or Spotify currently, and join the YouTube links have Discord links to watching the show live.
Oh,
on our Discord.
You get to watch it live? Where would
Every
you? Where
Tuesday
would you?
For now, possibly changing.
Where would you find it live? There, Aaron.
On the You Don't Have to Be Right podcast Discord.
Hey, you don't have to be right. All right, thanks everybody. I love you all. Take care. You derailed me in the beginning. I derail you at the end, sir.
I'm not talking till you hit stop recording. We do it at the post show.
Say goodbye to the lovely people.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
I'm Aaron.
I am West Knight. Okay, goodbye.